so Braids was a short film that kind of followed the narrative of our mother, or through our mother's voices, about their history of and relationship to hair, like their hair stories almost, which
Mhm.
leads to stories of self-care, of identity, of um, um, kind of like myth making and myth busting as well within culture. Um,
Mhm.
and
And
we, mhm,
I was going to say, and then of communal care
of communal care,
and
right?
then of home. So we
Right.
asked them to speak about, we asked them a series of questions, the same questions,
Yeah.
without either of them getting to hear one another's responses. We did this independently. So our video, we did this collaborative project, right? That was our collaborative contribution to the night. And this video was shown on the in that main lobby. I don't remember what the lobby is called at the Walker, but it's on the Jumbotron that they have there. And it's a 30-minute video. And we wanted to, we created a series of questions together to ask our mothers about their experiences with hair and home. And it was amazing how you and I thought this collective commonality through our cultures, this idea of braiding and braiding one another, right?
Right.
Like it is an act of, it's it's a piece of cultural identity in both of our communities. It's a way that we take care of our bodies and ourselves, but it's also a way that we take care of one another. And then there's oftentimes intergenerational exchange within that practice. And that was something that, like, as you and I got talking about, like, how can we speak about our commonalities? Because we know full well that, our the experiences within our communities are extremely unique. We do not have the same stories through this colonial project, but um, we know that there's this common force that has caused and perpetuated a great deal of the trauma within our communities. And through that, we have various, there are intersections within our histories, and they are inextricably related to one another. We can't peel them apart, but that's not taught, right? That's not talked about in a in a formal manner, and oftentimes not even in an informal manner. And so we are oftentimes without the language and the tools that we need to support one another in really meaningful ways, in ways that that are helpful and nurturing. And so the idea for the video was to just, show this intergenerational braiding practice, and then layer it over have these voiceovers of our mothers speaking about their experiences and ideas around hair and home, and let the commonalities show themselves,
Right.
which was amazing because it did. And we didn't, we didn't know what they were going to say. We just put together the questions.
I'm curious, were you shocked at all or surprised by any part of your mother's story? I know that I was like, what?
Yeah, I was. I had heard a story. That one of the stories that she told, I had not heard her talk about before. And so I was definitely surprised by certain things. You think your parents' life stories because you've heard them, speak about them throughout your life, but we can't obviously know all of it. And so going in on this interview style brought out things that I hadn't learned yet.
Do you know I'm gonna just be honest, right? Like the one of the things that originally, especially then, made me kind of uncomfortable um, about the film, but now I think really speaks to like it now is kind of a part of that story. The larger story was like the style in which we interviewed our moms as well, right? Like
Mhm.
for one,
Mhm.
my mom was living out of state. I think she was in Tennessee when I interviewed her. So it was like definitely sounds like a recorded phone call, which is what it was,
Mhm.
which is fine. But and yours, I think, was just masterfully done. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. Yes, because I was like, ooh, like there was a way in which you spoke and listened that I appreciated. And then when I was talking to my mom, um, like there, I realized that she was very triggered is not the word, but there was a
Mhm.
heightened like vibration in her voice. And it was like, I mean, maybe triggered is the right word, right? Like there was
Mhm.
trauma
Mhm.
there that she was like
Right.
fighting through as she was telling her story, because I don't think that she ever had, or that anybody had really
Mhm.
asked her some of these questions, or that she had really reflected back. So, you know, there was like a pace, there was like not frantic, but there were moments that felt like it could have gone there. You know, there were tears that we did not include. You know,
Mm.
there was a lot of emotion in
Mhm.
her voice.
Mhm.
And so, and because we were over the phone, I found myself wanting to like soothe her with like with a response. So like, yeah, you know, like things like that. Like, I hear
Mhm.
you, I feel you, I'm here for you. So the interview itself also became this kind of like act of nurturing, you know, like
Yeah.
my mother, like through her experiences, even though it's not like my artistic ideal like recording, you know what I mean? But I do appreciate like that, like at that stage, at that phase, that was part of the story, you know.
Yeah. I honestly, I know that it's maybe not the, like you're saying, it's not what we've learned. This is the professional format, whatever. But I really appreciate the raw nature of the recordings,
Mhm,
because they're they're honest,
mhm,
they're truthful, and you can tell they're not scripted. And then it just, yeah, it brings life into it in a way that, you know, if it was super scripted or super professional, might become more mechanical or more, you're still going to hear the stories, but they're not going to be as conversational, which is life, right? Life is conversational. And really these stories should be told in conversation, because it's not, it can't be a singular narration, right? It's not a singular story. And they are tough to talk through. It's interesting to hear you say that though, because I'm just thinking about, you know, we've got, like, we're talking about this video where we're pulling out or alluding to, pointing towards, asking people to think about cultural commonalities and intersections, but also it's really illustrative of cultural differences too, in that, like when you said that, you know, my mom speaks and I'm sitting back and listening, I mean, that's a cultural thing in and of itself, you know. And so um I like that, you know, I like that there's those elements in there that people can pull out, you know,
mhm,
as they see fit. But I've shown it a few times
mhm.
over the years for different artist talks and presentations, and I've had multiple women come up to me and just be so grateful and want to see it. Where can I see it? Where can I show it to my friends or relatives or what, you know? So I know that even though we might be critical of it, you know, our very first video project, um, people dug it, you know, it did what it's supposed to do, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I've had the same response. I've showed it a couple of places as well. I've had the same response, and it was, you know, I've gotten folks come up to me with emotional responses as well. So it's kind of like, yeah, like, you know, when you're talking to your mama, you know,
Mhm.
that comes out. So it's like the nurturing came through.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.